Men's Fuel Station, what's up, legends? I just want to talk about my experience, my very first experience of entering a men's circle. There's a couple of men, and there's a lot more that haven't spoken to me that are feeling reserved and have fear about stepping in and actually doing that introduction video. So I will just highlight where all of that comes from. And so if we look back into our childhood, there may have been times that we put ourselves out there and then we got shut down. And that rejection of when we actually shared our heart, that sucked and it hurt. And so what happens to the body is if we don't allow our emotions to go all the way through and feel them all the way through, what we do is that we actually suppress their emotions. When we suppress them, it's actually compressed energy stores in the body. When we piss out gallstones, you can actually see this physical matter, this energy. And so we are made of 60 to 80% water. So I look at our body like a bathtub. And so if we have all of these pebbles, this stored energy that's suppressed in our bathtub, that water's gonna get dirty, it's gonna get murky. So that very first time that we felt that rejection, whether it was we asked our mum and dad for something, or it was at a school ground, or as our sibling, or as a friend, or whatever it was, and we didn't feel it all the way through, bang, that pebble starts there. And then every single moment in life that rejection happens again and again and again to that individual, to you, this rock just gets layers and layers and layers, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we get to a place where a lot of you men in this group are sitting, is like a fucking mountain is sitting in your bathtub. There's a massive big rock of all this fear and layers and rejection and judgment that has been accumulated over your lifetime because no one taught you actually how to feel all that all the way through, and no one has taught you how to crack into that rock and allow it just to disintegrate. And just want to highlight too that there's many layers to that rock, and so sometimes we can put some dynamite in there, blow it to pieces, but it's not going to go all the way through the plug, and we've got to get all the shards and clean all of that out. So the way to heal trauma is the 3 T's. So it's tears, time, and talking. If you know that there's this big Mount Everest in here that is weighing you down, you're feeling heavy and stuck, this is your invitation to start talking, bro. You don't need to go into tears, but the invitation to start talking, because talking heals trauma or heals experiences. You can't have a breakthrough until you have a breakdown. So you can't have a breakthrough until you have a breakdown. So you can't break into those layers until you actually have a breakdown. And breakdown is breakdown of the walls and the barriers that are stopping you doing that. Physically breaking down, like this, the nerves, that's amazing, because your nervous system is actually breaking down, it's unwiring. Because a lot of us have been taught that we have to hide this, that if we were nerve, we had to be all these stoic and courageous and confident. That is not, we can't sustain that, ever. And so, if you own that, there is so much power in ownership of that. So, that being said, I went to the first men's circle, and I was around all of these men that I didn't know, and it was face to face. So it was all these men I didn't know, and I was just so stuck in my head, because they said, like what I've asked you guys to do, is to do an introduction about yourself, but then you had to really state why you were here. And I was just and I could feel that Mount Everest just getting heavier and heavier. And it started 2 men from me, so I had to wait for the whole circle to go around. And the longer it went, the more that my anxiety grew up, and the heavier my Mount Everest started to feel. And because it was that time, right? The time I was doing my fucking head in. And the longer that you leave something, the harder it gets, because the elephant in the room gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the way you eat an elephant is one mouthful at a time. And just speak about the elephant, speak about the fears, speak about everything, the judgment, I don't want to do this because I think I'm going to be put down. I've never been in a men's space. Own all of that, all of it. Just speak about all of it, all of your truth. We want to know your heart, bro. We definitely want to know your heart. And so yeah, these going around, I just stuck in my head. I wasn't present to everyone that was talking because I was worried. I played in my head 100 times what I was going to say. And then when I started talking, it literally, nothing that was in my head, nothing like that came out. I just spoke from my heart and it came out. And so I know that so many of you are stuck in your head right now. And when people ask me, hey man, what is it that you do on this planet? Is I take men on the longest journey of their life from here to here, 18 inches from their head and into their heart. And so this is your invitation, just to like allow yourself to let go of a layer, let go of the armor, and shoot your video, bro. Shoot your video. When I was actually able to speak about why I was at that men's circle in the fire, and like I got pretty emotional, no one judged me. The dude beside me just put his hand on my back. He's like, you got this, bro. And I was just like, what the like, what is this? Previously, the mates that I was associating with would have put me down. They would have ridiculed me, they would have judged me, they would have shamed me, and I would have felt a lot of guilt. And so that's why I just would wall up and never talk deeply about who I was. Like I hid studying Buddhism for like 2.5 years because they paid me out so much about becoming sober that I didn't want to talk to them that I was meditating and studying Buddhism on the weekends. I'd lie. Like I literally hid myself. And I know out of these 100 men, there's some of you that are hiding yourself too. But to your friends and your family and your mates. But you don't have to do that here. The invitation is to take your mask off and just allow us in, man. Allow us in. And in that share, in that circle, is the most liberating thing that I've ever done, of being able to share my heart and never got judged. And then next thing, these army of men rallied around me. Like, this is what I've been craving all of my fucking life. And this is, bro, this is what men across the planet are yearning for right now. And so my invitation is to light this spread up right now. Like, light it up. Become bigger than all the stories that have been holding you back, because that story that's holding you back right now for just introducing yourself is stopping you introducing yourself to that woman that you want to be, that you want to date, to ask for the job that you want, to ask for the pay rise, to have that conversation with your mum and your brother and your sister. That is how we do one thing, is how we do most things. And that is stopping you not just here but in your life. So allow this moment to be the moment that you break through that with brotherhood. And then notice what happens to your body. Notice what happens to your being. Notice how freeing that you feel. And everything in your life that you want to do that you're not doing has your power. And I'm here to tell you that you're more powerful than you ever realize. And so my invitation also is to make the uncomfortable comfortable. Anything that's uncomfortable, lean into it, man. You're not going to die. You are not going to die. You are going to grow. You are going to learn. You're going to evolve. Remember, you are perfect, whole, complete, and always evolving. Always evolving. Use this group as karma, as how we do one thing is how we do everything. So some people just come to groups like this and they just take, which means they just do the intro video but they don't watch anyone else's. They just watch my content but they don't comment. They just consume, they just take but they don't give. And so my invitation for this platform is to actually two-way street. Take as much as you can, but then give as much as you can give as well. Because the more you give, the more you get. It's a crazy paradigm, but the more you give, the more you'll get. And so that's enough for me this beautiful Tuesday. Let's light this spread up. Lean in, start chipping away at this Everest, and let us meet you. Let us meet you. And it's virtual. It's virtual. It's just like we're not even side by side. When we get face to face, it's a little bit of a different dynamic. But you have the safety of being in your own home and be able to shoot that video with no one else around you. And it's just us. Brother, let's get it.